This is the Bean Stitch, and I am absolutely in love with this stitch. I've been using it to make this gorgeous scarf that I'm totally in love with it. I'm in love with it. I want to use this stitch for everything right now. I feel about this stitch the same way that I'm currently feeling about cables. It's just got such a beautiful texture, and using these color changes, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love that the beans stack on each other to create this sort of basket weave effect without it being too complicated of using the actual basket weave stitch. If you've used the basket weave before, it's a cabling technique, so there's a lot of overlapping of your stitches using front posts and back posts, whereas the bean stitch, there's none of that, but you do get this beautiful basket weave effect. For this project, I am using Lion Brand's Skein Tones. Oops, look, my label's ripped. The baby probably tried to eat it. But I'm using Lion Brand Skein Tones. I'm using 3 different colors. They are Walnut, Beach, and Sienna. For this project, you will need 2 skeins of each color to create this scarf. It is huge. I mean, it's massive. So totally on trend for all these really big scarves that you keep seeing popping up. Believe it or not, the bean stitch is not something that eats as much yarn as you would expect, like a puff stitch, because it is created a little bit differently. So it does create this really nice dense texture, but it is not a yarn eater the way that you would expect it to be, which is awesome. I did do a swatch with this, and I weighed it and I calculated out what I thought I would need. I thought that I was only going to be able to make this scarf about this wide, but I still have so much yarn left. So right now I am adding 1 row of sienna, and then I'm going to add a couple of rows of walnut before I add all of my twisted fringe. Ooh, did I let it slip? Yep, twisted fringe. I am putting twisted fringe on this scarf. It's going to be amazing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like each color with, you know, matching up to their section, or if I'm gonna mix them up, or I might even try to double them and like have it multicolored. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna play around with that, but I'm really excited to put twisted fringe on because I've never used that technique before. So back to the bean stitch. I am going to show you, I'm going to create a little swatch to show you how it is that we make this stitch. So let me just clear all of this off and grab my hook and my yarn, and I will show you how to create this stitch. So to do the bean stitch, you have to either work a chain like I am. I'm actually using a starting chain. I know normally I use my foundation stitches, like a foundation single crochet, foundation half double crochet, or double crochet, but for this I did actually use a starting chain, and so I'm going to show you how to do it that way. So to create the bean stitch using a chain, you have to start with an even number of stitches, so a multiple of 2. If you are more comfortable using a foundation single crochet, then you have to start with a multiple of 2 plus 1, so an odd number. The reason for that is when you start with a starting chain, that last chain from your hook is not going to count as the stitch because you're going to work your single crochets across, which means that your odd number of chains is actually only going to work you an even number of single crochet stitches. So let's just see what I have here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 here. So that's more than enough for me to show you how we start this. So I have 12 single crochets, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and this is the top of the chains. This is the back. We are going to work in the back bump of these starting chains, so that this way this is nice and flat on the bottom of our single crochet stitches, essentially looking as if I used a foundation single crochet. So again, I have 12 I have 12 starting chains, we are going to skip the first chain from the hook, and we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, again using this back bump. And you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both, and that is creating a single crochet. So I am going to do that using the back bump all the way across, which means I'm going to have a total of 11 single crochet stitches for my row 1 base, and then I am going to show you how we will be creating the bean stitch. Okay, so here I have 11 single crochet stitches, and to do a bean stitch, what we are going to do is we are going to chain 1, turn, and we are going to place a single crochet in this first stitch. All right, and now we're going to create our first bean. So you're going to skip this second stitch. You're not placing a chain or anything here. You're just going to skip this second stitch, and you're going to come into the third stitch by inserting your hook, yarning over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, so you now have 3 loops on your hook, insert your hook again into that same stitch, which is the third stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop so that you now have 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook again, yarn over, pull up a loop, which now is going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. Can you see those? You're then going to yarn over again and pull through all of your loops, and that creates your first bean. So this is similar to the puff stitch, but the difference is that when you create a puff stitch, you do a yarn over first before inserting into the stitch that you're working. With a bean, you do not do that first yarn over, and what that does is it pulls the yarn down, and that is what creates this basket weave effect, because it's pulling the stitch over instead of allowing it to stand up straight with that first yarn over. Okay, so then next what we do is we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through this 1 loop. That's creating a chain, which essentially closes the bean stitch. You skip this next stitch, which is the 4th stitch, and then we're going to work another bean stitch in the 5th stitch. So again, if this was a puff stitch, you would yarn over and then you would work your puff stitch, and that allows the stitch to stand up straight. But because we're creating a bean, you skip that first yarn over and you insert your hook. See how it's going to pull it down? See how it's pulling? Let me try to flatten that out. It's pulling, goodness gracious, it's pulling the other bean down. So you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2, yarn over so you have 3 loops, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up your next loop. So now that gives you 4, yarn over so that you have 5, insert your hook again, yarn over, and pull up a loop so that you have 6. And those 6 loops creates your second bean. Yarn over and pull through all of your loops. Yarn over to close up your bean with a chain space, skip the next single crochet stitch and create another bean in your next stitch. Now, this is a stitch that for me works up really, really quickly. I find that if I don't work this stitch quickly, my tension gets a little screwy and I'll actually drop my yarn overs, which is really frustrating. So now what you're going to do is you are going to repeat that all the way across until you have 2 stitches remaining. You're going to create that last chain, and then you are going to place a single crochet in the final stitch. Okay, can you see that? So over 11 single crochet stitches, right? So we started with a chain of 12, created 11 single crochet stitches. That will give us 1, 2, 3, 4 beans. So that's giving us 4 beans. Now what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1, turn, and we are going to single crochet in this last single crochet that we created. Again, do not chain 1 after this first single crochet, and we are going to create a bean stitch in this space. Okay, so this is technically it's kind of part of the bean. So this is where it's hard. You could do this a couple of different ways. You can work around the chain in between the beans if you would like. What I found is that it's better if you kind of work in the chain in this bar. Can you see this right here? I like to work my bean in that space because it like enhances the look of the bean, the basket weave. So see, I'm putting it there versus you could create your bean here. So if I went like this, right? And now when you do that, that's going to give you a bigger hole, which I don't like. I like it more dense, like more closed spaces. So you're going to want to work in this space, and I'm not really sure what to call it. I will actually reach out to my tech editor and see what the proper name is for that space, but you don't want to work so that you're in between these stitches. You want to kind of work in this stitch, and I'm not sure if I should be calling it out as part of the bean stitch or the chain in between them. So let me go back, hold on. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Okay, so we finished this second row, we chained one, we turn, we put this first single crochet here. You're going to skip this chain one and this bean, and we are going to place our first bean in this little funky space that I'm not really sure what to call it. I will find out and make sure that it's properly written in the pattern. And you create your bean and your chain one. Okay, so we've created our first bean and our chain one, and what we're going to do is we are now going to skip the bean and come into this space next to the bean, and we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, am I on camera? Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook again, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, and pull through all of our loops. See, going slow, I'm catching. Okay, we're gonna yarn over and close up our bean, skip the next bean. So the baby wandered in. Skip our next bean, and we are going to create the next bean in this little area here. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, cat hair, for a total of 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, and close up that bean with a chain one. Okay, and then we're going to come back into this last space before we get to the single crochet at the end. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert our hook again, yarn over, pull up another loop, yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop for a total of 6, yarn over, and close up the bean with a chain one. Now you've created this chain one here, and what we're going to do is we are going to work a single crochet in this last single crochet stitch, chain one, turn, create this first single crochet, and then just like we did across here, we are going to skip the bean and create a bean stitch in this little space here and close it up, skip the next bean stitch, and create another bean. And so you just keep doing that across, making your beans, closing them with a chain. When we get to the end, we close our chain, come back to this the final single crochet, create a single crochet stitch there, chain one, turn, and we will keep working across. Once you create your row of single crochets, whether you're using the foundation stitch or the chain stitches, and then you create this second row, which is your first row of puff stitches, the repeat is the same from row 3 on. Unless of course you're changing colors in the pattern, but that'll be noted. But the bean stitch itself, repeats exactly the same for every row. As you can see here, now that we've got a couple of rows, that kind of anchors the beans down so that this way you get a nice clean edge. Be really careful about your tension with your chain one and single crochet, because if you could see over here, mine were a little bit tight and so it will pull a bit. So you have to be very careful about your tension here. This way you don't scrunch the edge up. If you wanted to, if your tension is really tight, you could do a half double crochet here, or you could even do something called a stacked single crochet. Let me show you that. I will show you what a stacked single crochet is, because that's a great technique that I like to use. So to do a stacked single crochet, you do not chain one. You insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both. So essentially you're creating a single crochet without that first chain one, and then you insert your hook to the second bar of that single crochet that you just created, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over, and close it. And what that's doing is you're kind of creating a single crochet on top of each other, and you can keep doing that for any length that you want if you're working taller stitches, but I like to do 2, and that can take the place of, again, depending on your tension, of a half double crochet or a double crochet. And so if you find that your edges are pinching a little bit and you're having trouble keeping that tension, a stacked single crochet twice might help alleviate that issue. And then you would work the row repeat just as you did before, with skipping that first bean and placing a bean stitch in the first side of the bean, closing it with the chain one, and then continuing that all the way across. And then again, this is a stitch that I personally am able to work really, really, really fast. And if I don't, I tend to drop my yarn overs, which isn't fun. And then here at the end, if again this tension is too much, you can work a half double crochet in the last stitch instead of a single crochet, and that will give you a little bit more height here, and that'll reduce this pinching if you are having that as a problem. But yeah, so that is how we create a bean stitch. This is definitely one of my favorite stitches. I love that it's the same on both sides, so there is no wrong side to this stitch, which is wonderful. So this would be a great stitch for a blanket, because again, it is not a yarn eater and it's the same on both sides. This would be a great stitch for an infinity scarf, because you could seam that one side together or work it in the round, and again, there's no wrong side. Or just like what I'm making here, it is a great stitch for just a regular scarf, because like I said, no wrong side. Just quickly, once I do get to the end, over here, when I get to the end of this pattern, what I'm going to do to finish it off is, just like we have one row of single crochet to start, I am going to create a row of single crochet in this last row of beans. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that stitch placement yet. I don't know if I'm going to try to do like 2 single crochet in each chain one, or if I'm going to work 1 single crochet in that space that we've been creating the puffs, and then maybe a single crochet in the chain one. I've got to, like I said, play around with it a little bit and see what might be the best way to do it. If I'm going to work in stitches or around stitches, I don't know yet, but that will be in the pattern. Again, that's also something for yourself to figure out your preference. So let's see, can we see that? So I worked in a puff stitch, I worked in that side, I worked around the chain in the side of the puff, I worked in the chain. Yeah, I don't know that there is a better or worse way to do that final row of single crochet, but again, I'm going to play around with that stitch placement, but that's how we'll end it. We're just going to end it with all single crochet, same number of stitches, nothing added, nothing less, and that will be it. And then I'm going to do the twisted fringe, which I'm really excited about, because if you've ever done twisted fringe before, what you do is you take a really long piece, you double it, and then you twist this a ton of times, depending on how long it is, like a lot. Like you really have to put a bunch of twists in here to create some tension. And then you pinch, fold, take this off. And when I let go of this, it's going to spring around each other. Ready? Are you ready? Whoop. Look at how cool that is. I'm so excited to try this. I'm probably not even really on camera. Where am I? This is not the tutorial for the twisted fringe. I'm just kind of explaining quick how we are going to do it. I will have a tutorial for it, but oh gosh, isn't that going to be so cute? Oh, it's going to be so cute. I love it. I can't wait to do it. All right, so I hope that this was a helpful tutorial for the bean stitch. Again, I am so sorry. I have videos out on social media where people are just dragging me through the mud about how fast I crochet, and I'm sorry. And how fast I talk too. I try to slow it down. I really try, but it's hard. I'm a fast talker. I'm a fast worker. I don't function well going slow. So that's that. If you find my videos helpful and if you enjoy my free crochet patterns, please make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. And I promise to keep working on my video quality to get rid of some of these shadows and dull lighting. And I will do my absolute best with what I have at the moment, but keep an eye out because I have plans to make things better. Thanks. Enjoy your day.